What is the sentiment right now from investors across this country? Like, what are you sensing? Because sentiment's a big driver in what people are thinking and what they're going to do. What are you seeing?
Yeah, I completely agree. I'd even possibly take it one step further and say that sentiment might be one of the most important things in the market, right? The invisible hand, right? I mean, how are you feeling about your finances? Most people don't have the financial literacy to have a deeper understanding. It's just literally a surface level feeling. And if they're feeling pretty good about it, guess what? They go spend.
Yeah.
Whether it's buying pre-construction or buying sweaters or going out to dinner or booking vacations. So I think consumer sentiment is paramount. Now, the tricky thing with Canada is that it's tough to put a blanket statement on the second biggest country in the world, especially from a landmass perspective, especially when that population is so unevenly dispersed, right? I mean, you've got
disparities all within the 49th parallel.
Literally, right? I mean, 100 and I think it's
85% of it. 100
kilometers or 100 miles from the U.S. border is where essentially 90 or something percent of Canadians live. So that's tough, and it's even tougher when you've got a few markets. You know, we know these markets well: Toronto, the GTA, the GTHA. Now, where 1 in 4 Canadians live. That's the Greater Toronto and Hamilton area, and then along the 401 corridor, right, from Cornwall to like Sarnia and Windsor. 1 in 4 Canadians live there. So what that 25% of Canadians think and feel in their sentiment is very different than the couple 100,000 that live between Saskatoon and Regina, that are both very affordable markets. That they're kind of, blind to a lot of the bullshit that people in Toronto deal with, whether it's traffic or whether it's the fact that, it's $600,000 for 520 square feet and, a balcony the size of this table. It's not a big table. And this is a big table, and balconies are not even this big. It's crazy, right? So, it's tricky because we talk to people and we listen to people, more importantly, coming from Victoria, Vancouver. Hell, I've been on calls with guys in Nunavut and Yellowknife, right? Like really cool. I mean, podcast has taken us some cool places. The thing is, it's really hard to put like your thumb on what sentiment is across the country because it's so diverse. And I can tell you sentiment in Toronto, Ontario, from a first-time home buyer, from an end user perspective, buying and selling, isn't good. You know that. I don't think anyone doesn't know that at this point. Yes, there's an interest rate announcement. I don't know when this is coming up, but there may or may not have been an interest rate cut when this comes out. If not, it'll likely be next month. But again, what's that one cut going to do to sentiment for people here in the GTHA?
Fuck all.
Right? It's going to do fuck all for their wallets, but it might fuck with the sentiment a little bit. Now, if you're in Winnipeg, Saskatoon, Edmonton, Regina, any of the smaller places outside of Calgary, Lethbridge, Airdrie, if you're in Kelowna, if you're in, anything from Quebec over, you're a lot less prone to the bullshit that the people in the GTHA
and that's key.
And the people that in the lower mainland have to deal with. And now Calgary is getting there as well. So let's speak to those people. What are they feeling? Well, they're feeling like it's pretty bad right now. And it's probably going to get worse before it gets better. And you can't invest in those markets anymore. So what happens is those people start to smooth out into the rest of the country. Right? We see a trickle into Vancouver went to Calgary. Now Calgary's getting expensive. So people went from Vancouver to Calgary. Now they're going to Edmonton, right? Same thing here in GTHA. Oshawa used to be an absolute shithole. And in COVID, people were buying places there for $1 million.
Nothing against people who live in Oshawa.
Hey, listen, the people in Oshawa that are listening, I love you, okay? We actually have a Durham meetup for the event. It's going to be great for our event series. But Oshawa had no business selling properties for $1 million when years ago they were a couple $100,000 less. So for me, there's still an immense amount of opportunity in Canada. There's immense amount of opportunity in the cities where it's gotten really expensive with all the new zoning and legislation changing. And, you can speak to that a lot better than I can. But from an investor's perspective, I always tell people that are hesitant that, like, I live in Toronto, I live in Hamilton, I live in Pickering, I live in Kelowna or Burnaby, where can I invest? Okay, well, look what the people in New York, Chicago, California, Miami are doing. They're not buying large multifamily buildings. Some of them are, obviously, but they're not buying large multifamilies in their backyard. They're going elsewhere to buy. Like, so think about a guy in Miami that owns 2,500 units, let's say, in Ohio, or in, Memphis, or in just outside of Kansas City, like in some of these other markets where you can go and achieve that kind of stuff. And that's the American mindset. Hey, we've got a big country. Let's go and look for opportunity elsewhere, right? Like, you can still hit the 1% rule in many major cities across this country. But it's just cities that people in Toronto and Vancouver are like, no, I could never go there. And you're right again. And, I know your mentality is that you can make money in your backyard as well. And you're completely correct on that. I'm just saying, for someone that's maybe just starting out, where making money in your backyard, if your backyard is North York or, Lower Mainland somewhere kind of thing, it's going to be a bit harder. Yeah. But there's a ton of places. And that all to be said, I'm just trying to expand people's minds across the country to think about, hey, we've got this huge country. Where is the opportunity going next?